but it's mighty in the way it sounds. As far as I know, it's organic sound. Listen to this. Oh, it's like a battleship. Hey guys, welcome to my review of the Porsche Cayenne GTS Coupe. I'm going to be reviewing this car over the next 4 days and about 1,500 miles. I'm currently in northern France, heading down towards Stuttgart in the Porsche Museum. I'm in convoy with good friends of ours who have recently just been out and purchased a brand new 992 generation 911. When they bought that car, they were adamant about going and visiting the Porsche Museum, which Lou and I have been to last year and I've been to several times. I absolutely love it. These start at about £90,000 on the road, but this particular one has about £10,000 worth of options on it, which is about average for a Porsche in this day and age, especially something like a Cayenne. In fact, on most Cayennes you can almost double the retail price on options, so this is almost sparsely optioned. But saying that, I'm not sitting here wanting for more. There's pretty much everything I need in here. And ironically, our friend's 911 has a retail price almost identical to this, so it's quite interesting. Yeah, I'd like to know which one you would rather in the comments below. So that beautiful 911 behind or one of these. This all feels very familiar to me because very recently I had that insane Cayenne Turbo GT, which actually had a very similar power unit, gearbox, obviously very similar interior. Didn't feel too different, but that was nigh on £150,000 and 640 horsepower. This one has a 4-litre V8 twin turbo, the same lump effectively that you find in Audi's RS6 and the Audi RSQ8. In this car it's detuned to 460 horsepower and 620 newton meters of torque. In terms of what it's been like so far, well, we've done about 400 kilometers in it since we picked it up, and it's just been effortless. It's an amazing road trip car, it really is. But it's hard to gauge something when you're out here on these beautiful roads because everything feels very, very comfortable, especially ride quality. Our first stop is Reims in northern mid-France, I guess. We're going to visit the old historic racing track there. Right, well, that was a fantastic little stop. I urge you to always visit Reims if you're in this part of the world, this part of France, if you're traveling through France, especially to Germany, whatever. We're going to go and find somewhere to eat now and then head on to Germany. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed those flybys. Both cars sounded really good. Good morning, guys. We had a fantastic night at the V8 hotel in Motor World, Stuttgart. We're now in Porsche heaven. We're just about to head into the museum. Above us over there, that's part of the production line. That might be where the 911 chassis go up and get married to the engines or whatever. I'm making that up, but it probably is something like that. In front of us you can see an amazing bit of Porsche artwork that actually reminds me very much of the displays that they have at Goodwood, etc. Well, behind that is an incredible Porsche dealership, and then to the left is a museum. Oh yes, fantastic museum. There's a very good cafe in there as well. So I'll bring one of the GoPros with me and give you a quick look around at some of my favorite bits of the museum, and then we'll jump in the car afterwards and we're heading off to a really good road. But I'll do more of a review on this car before we head over to the Nürburgring. So this is essentially the original 911. It was known as the 901, but Taryn actually just informed me that because of a Peugeot name that was also a 0 something, Porsche ended up changing it to the 911, which is obviously
where it's continued to be until today. Okay, so slightly newer, we've got the 2.7 RS here, which is just absolutely stunning. This particular one is 1973, so that's before I was born, so yeah, it's getting on a bit, but what a colour. And this is the current view of the Porsche Museum. Not bad, hey? Not too bad. So I can't visit the Porsche Museum without looking at the Carrera GT, one of my all-time favourites. What a machine. 612 horsepower, screaming V10, manual transmission, sort of a modern classic. Still looks good today. Absolute legend of a car. And next to it we have a very early Cayenne. So this is a 2007 model, and it was actually a hybrid development car. So Porsche were developing hybrids for the Cayenne nearly 15 years ago. It's really cool, this car. As you can see, it's all very stripped out, but this was actually a working model, but you could see all of the workings. I mean, all the electric window mechanisms in there, everything. Even the engine has a clear bonnet, so you can look in there and check out everything that's going on. But really cool. And obviously that's a very, very early version, essentially, of the Cayenne, in which we're travelling around Germany in.
Hopefully you enjoyed that whistle stop tour of the Porsche Museum. Definitely recommended if you find yourself in the Stuttgart area. I now find myself on a new favourite road. When I say new, well, I discovered it due to my good friend Sebastian T, who owns that gorgeous Valencia Orange 1M. So we shot that 1M video here, and in fact I shot another video with that manual M4 along here. It's a brilliant, brilliant bit of road. It's a tiny little detour off the Autobahn between Stuttgart and the Nürburgring. So decided to come down here, test out this car, not properly because I've got my other half in the car and there's motorbikes and all sorts on here, but just get a feel for it, see what it's like on a bit of a twisty road that I'm reasonably familiar with. Let's start with practicalities and aesthetics, so how this car looks. In terms of practicalities, well, it's lovely and spacious in here, and although it's a coupe, so it's got a slanting rear roof line, it's actually pretty big in the back seats, as I discovered in that Cayenne Turbo GT. But obviously it's not as practical as the standard or regular non-coupe version, and for me I'd always have the more practical version because I like mountain biking and stuff. But that's not to say that this has a small boot, because it's massive. It's been really handy on this trip. In fact, yeah, we could have piled in far more luggage. In terms of the way it looks, I'm not the biggest fan of these big coupe looking SUVs, if I'm being totally honest. But this one doesn't offend me. Again, I just prefer the non-coupe version, the full SUV if you like. In terms of the driving position, well, it's very good. It's a Porsche, maybe not quite as good as a Cayman or a 911, but you're almost sitting a bit more upright because it's an SUV, so you have a very commanding driving position. You have great visibility on the road, and in fact on the autobahns that we've just been on, it's really good and handy because you can see miles down the road and over the top of a regular car, sports car. So driving position, I think, is really, really good. It's been very comfortable. Lou and I have spent, well, 2 very long days in this car so far, and the combination of the seats and the driving position, yeah, I can't complain on that aspect. In terms of ride comfort, well, this car has the optional air adaptive suspension, and well, it's awesome. Not only can you adjust the ride height, so it's probably pretty good off-road, but as you go through the modes, obviously you get 3 different levels of suspension stiffness, if you like. And I've been in the softest level most of the time, but down a road like this I've actually got it up a notch, and when we turn around and come back up here, give it a bit more welly, I'll probably put it into the stiffer setting. I wouldn't do that if this was the UK because the roads, the potholes etc will be so bad, but here, well, the road surface at least is just perfect, so you can knock it all the way up into the stiffest setting and you're not affected by the road comfort because, well, yeah, it's really, really smooth. Okay, I've turned around and then we're going to head back up this road. I'm going to talk a bit about its performance. I'm going to give it a bit of welly up here. This isn't a road that you'd associate with an SUV, at least having fun with an SUV, because it's twisty, it's quite tight, but let's just see. Let's see if this car's got its Porsche DNA. It certainly sounds like it has. And on the roads we've been on so far, it certainly feels like it has, but, well, let's have a look. Tight hairpin turn in. It's quite a heavy steering. Put your foot down. I mean, it just finds traction for days. Can't see much because I've got the sun on my eyes. I mean, it's a lovely, lovely motor. It's really linear. It's the 4-litre V8 bi-turbo that we found in the RS6, and in fact, we find it in the RSQ8. In the RSQ8, it's about 600 horsepower, and this, it's 460. They're similar sort of weights, so do you notice that this is down on power and torque? Well, you do, but you're not sitting here thinking, oh, I wish this had more go, because it feels fast enough, especially when the sun keeps getting in your eyes and you can't see much. But it's mighty in the way it sounds. As far as I know, it's organic sound. Listen to this. Oh, it's like a battleship. It's very good in the brakes. The brakes feel very Porsche, i.e. you have to be reasonably hard with them to work, but they're always there and they're always consistent. I mean, I'm having fun doing this. I don't want to look at the miles per gallon because it's probably averaging about 5 on the way up here. But ignoring that, I mean, oh, when you put your foot down out of corners, it is mighty. Epic sound. To me, it feels like it has more than 460 horsepower. The way it picks up, especially. Porsche claim this has got a 0 to 62 time of 4.5 seconds. Again, to me, it feels a little bit quicker than that. And a top speed of 168 miles an hour, which I can almost confirm. We saw about 260 k's an hour earlier on, which is about 160, and it was still pulling hard. It's more impressive than it looks like it should be, but it's definitely no 911 or that M4 that I had along here. On twisty stuff like this, unfortunately, the center of gravity can be felt through stuff like this, so you know you're sitting up high, but it's still very, very impressive. I'm going to end the video here. We're actually about to head off to the Nürburgring, to a place where Porsche set the SUV lap record, which was only broken a few months ago in the Cayenne Turbo GT that I had recently. So I thought that kind of all worked. Take this car home to Stuttgart and the Porsche factory, and then take it to the Nürburgring before heading home. But thanks a lot for watching. Leave any comments below, questions below that you might have, and I'll see you at the next video very, very soon. Cheers.